Okay, let's be honest for a second. When you hear the name Power BI, what instantly pops into your head? If you're like most folks, you probably picture a sleek, colorful dashboard. You know, a few pie charts, some line graphs going up and to the right, just a whole lot of visual polish. But is Power BI really just a tool for creating pretty charts?
Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to completely shatter that misconception. Today, we're exploring end-to-end analytics with Microsoft Power BI, and our core focus is unlocking the massive, powerful engine that sits directly beneath those visuals. If you want to move from just making charts to actually engineering robust analytics, you are in exactly the right place.
So here's our dive plan for today's Explainer. 1. The visualization-only myth. 2. The analytics lifecycle. 3. Defining the problem. 4. The data prep philosophy. 5. Shaping and optimizing data. And finally, 6. Building the foundation. Let's kick things off and energetically dismantle that first big hurdle. Section 1, the visualization-only myth. Just the tip.
You see, when people treat Power BI exclusively as a visualization tool, they are quite literally just looking at the tip of the iceberg. You see the shiny dashboards, right? The KPI arrows blinking green, the fancy AI visuals, and it's so easy to think, oh, that's it, that's the whole software. But true analytical power requires looking much, much deeper. Because those surface-level visuals absolutely cannot function without a real foundation.
Beneath the water, this isn't just a charting tool. It is a fully fledged analytic engine. Just think about this massive, cohesive ecosystem down here in the deep water. You've got the Vertipack engine compressing data, DAX measures calculating your business logic, row-level security keeping everything locked down and safe, all sitting right alongside heavy-duty data profiling, modeling, and shaping. This underneath portion is exactly what enables those surface visuals to shine. Without the bottom of the iceberg, the tip just sinks. It's really that simple.
So now that we can see the entire iceberg, let's move on to Section 2, the analytics lifecycle, setting the stage.
This brings us to the 6 critical steps of the end-to-end analytics lifecycle, and I really want you to notice the order here. Step 1, understand the business problem. Step 2, data preparation. Step 3, data modeling. Notice something? It isn't until step 4 that we actually get to data visualization. So many beginners try to make visualization step 1. They grab some data and immediately start throwing bar charts onto a canvas. But skipping those first 3 steps? Yeah, that's a recipe for a fragile, highly inaccurate dashboard. We have got to set the stage first.
Let's anchor this life cycle in reality by looking really closely at Step 1, Section 3, defining the problem, asking the right questions.
The absolute crucial point here is that no one needs a pretty dashboard if it doesn't answer the core business questions. Let's use a real-world protagonist, the NYC Motor Vehicle Collisions dataset. This is a hefty dataset. We're talking roughly 1.8 million rows spread across 29 columns. Before we even think about opening a charting menu, we have to define our mission. What are the riskiest locations in the city? Which time of day is the most critical? What percentage of pedestrians are actually injured? Which boroughs have the highest accident rates? If our data engine beneath the surface isn't built specifically to answer these exact questions, our surface visuals will be completely useless, honestly, no matter how pretty they look.
Once we know our questions, we hit the conceptual turning point of our explainer. Section 4, the data prep philosophy, upstream transformations.
I absolutely love this quote from data architecture expert Matthew Roach. He says, "Data should be transformed as far upstream as possible and as far downstream as necessary." This is a foundational rule in analytics. Basically, it means we want to fix our data, clean our data, and shape our data as close to the original source as we possibly can, rather than trying to use digital duct tape and crazy complex code to fix it at the very end in the dashboard.
Think of your data flowing like a river. It starts way upstream at the database or the source data. Then it flows down into the Power Query editor, and finally, it trickles downstream to the dashboard and visuals. Early intervention is absolutely everything here. If there is a toxic spill in the river, like bad data or missing values, you want to clean it up in the Power Query editor long before it ever reaches the dashboard layer where people are, trying to drink the water. And this leads us straight into a highly dangerous habit a lot of folks fall into, the close and apply trap. Now, if you're just doing a quick one-off ad hoc analysis, sure, maybe you can skip the prep and just load the raw data. But robust, repeatable, enterprise-grade analytics, that strictly requires a facelifted data model. You literally cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. You have to prepare the ground first.
All right, let's dive into the mechanical heart of this explainer, Section 5, Shaping and Optimizing Data. The mechanical heart.
The very first thing we do underwater is turn on data profiling. With just a click, Power Query basically gives us an X-ray of our NYC collisions data. Instantly, we spot anomalies. Finding one, the borrow column is 36% empty. I mean, that is a massive hole in our data that requires a replacement strategy right away. But finding two is just as vital. We check the number of persons injured column and see the maximum value is 7. Believe it or not, this actually validates our data integrity. If that maximum was, say, 7,000 injured in a single car crash, we'd know instantly we had a severe data error to fix. Profiling basically gives us the roadmap for our cleanup. Once we find the holes, well, we have to plug them. Here's how we shape the data to make it predictable. For our text columns with blank values, we push them through a replace values node so they uniformly read NA. For whole numbers, like a null zip code, we replace it with a 0. And for decimals, like a null latitude coordinate, we force it to 0.00. Standardizing these empty values is a really critical insight. It guarantees that our future data model behaves predictably when we actually start calculating averages or totals.
Which brings us to one of the most relatable, totally maddening traps for beginners, case sensitivity. Think about this scenario. We have Belt Parkway with a capital P and Belt Parkway with a lowercase p. To a human, obviously, that's the exact same street. But Power Query's engine, it sees these as completely different entities. If we don't fix this, our accident counts for that street will just be split right down the middle. So we build a solution pipeline. We run the data through an uppercase node and then a trim node to strip out any invisible spaces. The result is a unique, conformed gold bar of data. Now when our dashboard asks, what are the riskiest locations, it will count every single accident on the Belt Parkway together, perfectly.
But shaping isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's also about optimizing and trimming the fat. Remember those 29 raw columns we started with? Well, Power Query profiling immediately revealed that 6 of those columns were over 90% empty. The decision here requires intentionality. Just delete them. Seriously, why bloat your data model and slow down your refresh times with columns that cannot possibly provide useful insights? An efficient data model is built by intentionally leaving unnecessary data behind before it ever crosses into the reporting layer.
With our data beautifully profiled, shaped, and optimized, we reach Section 6, Building the Foundation, ready for the surface.
Now, what's genuinely amazing about everything we just did in Power Query is that we didn't just clean the data once, we built an automation recipe. There's an applied steps pane that tracks everything. Every uppercase, every trim, every single replaced value is recorded right there in sequence. And here is a major pro tip. As a massive favor to your future self, rename these steps in plain English. Trust me, when you return in 6 months, you will instantly understand the logic without having to decipher complex M code. But the ultimate power is this. Every single time this dataset is refreshed, whether that's tomorrow, next week, or next year, this exact cleaning recipe executes automatically.
Which brings our whole iceberg metaphor completely full circle. Think of this as a sturdy block of ice beneath the waterline. The Power Query processing is done. We've profiled, cleaned, standardized, and automated our data all without writing a single line of complex code. The data is now a perfectly shaped asset, structurally sound, and ready to support the dimensional modeling, the star schema, right at the waterline. Only now is our engine truly ready to support those dazzling surface-level visuals.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a challenge to reflect on. We've seen exactly what it takes to do end-to-end analytics properly. The true power lies in the deep water, right? In defining the problem, in the early upstream data preparation, and in crafting an automated, highly optimized model. So the next time you open Power BI, will you just skim the surface by dropping a quick visual on the canvas, or are you ready to actually build the engine?